Hi everyone, welcome to today's Leetcode challenge. It is the counting bits problem. So we're given an integer n, and we have to return an array of n's of length n plus 1, such that for each I, from 0 to n, n's of I is the number of ones in the binary representation of n. So we're given this example with the input as n equals 2. So basically we have to find the number of ones for every number starting from 0 all the way up to n equals 2. So 0, 1, 2. For each of those numbers, we have to find the number of ones for each of those digits. So that's what it represents. So if n is equal to 2, then we have to return an array of n plus 1, where each of those indexes are the number which we have to actually find the number of ones in its own binary representation. So let's get started. So as always, I'd like to start the problem by identifying what the input is. In this case, the input is an integer, and we're going to take the example as n equals 2, and then we'll identify what the output is. Here, the output is going to be an array of n plus 1 number integers in the array. Let's also understand what the constraints are to this problem. So our constraints to this problem, provided constraints, is going to be the n is from 0 to 10 to the 5. So that is our provided constraint. And so the number of numbers is going to be n plus 1, which is in this case also going to be 10 to the 5. We'll also have to try to shoot for a specific time complexity and space complexity. So in this case, our time complexity, we can try to shoot for what we have n, so that means n plus 1. So we'll try to shoot for a time complexity of O of n plus 1, which is basically O of n. And then after that, our space complexity, we definitely have to return an array, so we'll have to have n plus 1 space being accumulated. Okay, so let's try to understand the logic behind this. So the logic for this problem, we are given a number n, which is 2. So basically, we are going from 0 all the way until 2. So we're iterating 0, 1, 2. So what is actually happening is, for each of these numbers, so 0 in binary the representation is going to be 0, 0, 0, 0. Let's say we're just taking four binary spaces, and so 0 is going to be represented in this form, and 1 is going to be represented as 0, 0, 0, 1, and then 2 is going to be represented as 0, 0, 1, 0. So this is our 0, this is our 1, and this is our 2. So what the output that we're returning is going to be the number of ones in each of these binary representations. That's what our output is going to be. So 0, and so there are 0 ones in 0, and there's going to be only one in our binary representation of 1, and then there's only going to be one in the binary representation of 2. So let's understand how we can actually do this. So how do we do this? So what we're going to do is, we're first going to create an array of zeros, an array of n plus 1 zeros, because our n is the total number. So we're going from 0 to n, and since arrays are 0 index, we have to start from 0. So n plus 1 will give you the total length of the desired output array. And after starting with zeros, what we have to do here is, as we're iterating through it, we can use, since we're using Python, what we can do is we can use a method called bit count. This will actually count the number of 1 bits for each of those numbers, which in this case is going to be 0, 1, 2. So 0, 1, 2 is the decimal representation of each of those numbers, or those specified places. So if we apply the bit count method for each of those numbers, which is 0, 1, 2, it would return the number of ones in each of those spaces. For 0, it's going to be 0. For 1, it's going to be 1, and for 2 also, it's going to be 1. And then we would just return, in the end, we would just return the array. So let's get started on coding this. So let's get started by coding this. So the very first thing, what we're going to do here is we're going to define the array. So the array is going to be n plus 1 zeros, and so that's how you define n plus 1 zeros in Python. And then we're going to iterate through the length of that array. So for num in range len of array. Now in this, what are we going to do? We're going to say array of num is equal to num dot bit count. Okay, now that will assign the number of ones associated with that specific number, and then just return that. So towards the end, we just have to basically return that array. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Let's see if this actually works. Yeah, so there you know, it actually works. So let's try to submit it. As you can see, it's pretty efficient, and memory-wise, it's probably not as efficient. That's because we actually have an array of length n. We can always make it more efficient by using a dynamic programming approach, which I can explain in the next video. But we can try to run this again. It'll probably be a little bit more efficient memory-wise. There you go. It's a bit more efficient memory-wise now. But if you want to make it even more efficient, there's another approach of doing dynamic programming, which I can explain in another video. But thank you so much for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your day.